Hi guys, Tracy here with another scrapbooking process video. This time I am doing the February challenge, the 27-day challenge, which is to use an old kit or collection. And I'm going to be using the Maggie Holmes collection, the original one from way back in 2013. I guess it wasn't that long ago, but you know, it's 3 years old. That's long enough. And I have lots of this kit sitting around my scrap room. I loved the Maggie Holmes original collection. I actually love all of her collections, but the only one that I've bought so far in full is that original one. And since then, it's come in, different parts of her other collections have come in kits from Scraptastic, and so I haven't really felt the need to buy another Maggie Holmes collection, but I still have lots of this one kicking around, so I wanted to use it up for this challenge. So you see that I have those three, what are they called? Canvas frames over there. I'm pretty sure those are from the original collection. I separated it, so I'm not entirely sure, but I'm pretty sure they came from that collection. And I also, they are very old, even if they came from the second collection. And I have all of this paper left. And so I'm starting off by cutting out one of these birds. And I thought I was cutting it in the right direction, but I'm actually, the birds on that page have two different orientations. And I meant to cut one that was pointing to the left, but for some reason I'm cutting out this one instead, and it points to the right. Anyhow, I'm fussy cutting it, and I wasn't sure if I was going to go in around the branches of that little branch or not. So at first, on the first pass, I didn't, but now I'm going to go back in and just take care of the little details around the inside of that space between the branch and the bird's body. And I'm just cutting pretty slow. There's what it looks like up close. And I'm also going to use some glossy accents on this bird to make him shinier, to make him stand out a little bit from some of the other things that will be on this layout. And I'm starting by, actually, the last time that I used my glossy accents, I didn't put the lid on it. It was completely clogged. And the lid wasn't on it, like it was just, it wasn't screwed down. It was just sitting on it. So I'm not sure how that happened, but I had to use my little trusty safety pin that I keep in my scrap room for unclogging bottles of glue. And at first I decided to just make the breast of the bird shiny, and then I decided that I wanted the whole bird to be shiny. And so I'm just going to squirt this onto all of the parts, and then there was a little bubble, so I just used my pin to burst it and to just kind of move the glossy accents around so that it's nice and smooth, and you can see that it sort of pools up into a nice smooth finish as it kind of gets ready to dry. And so I just put that over to the side for now, and I still haven't realized that I cut the wrong orientation of bird, so it'll be a while before I clue into that one. So I'm thinking about using this as my background paper, and well, I'll kind of talk you through the process. So I was basically choosing this background paper just because I really like it a lot. It's my favorite paper that came in that kit, and I've used it for a background on several layouts, but those were quite a while ago, and so I thought it wouldn't hurt to do another layout with that as a background. But you'll see once everything comes together that I'm not going to like how that looks very much. So I definitely want to layer some of these frames around the photo. And in order to facilitate that, I'm going to attach the photo to a strip of paper that's going to extend on the right and the left a little bit out from the frame. And that'll just add another layer of detail. And so I'm just going to attach some glue and then stick down that canvas frame on either side. You can see a little bit of glue sticking out there, but it'll be covered once all the other layouts are on there. I'm usually careful about not letting glue stick out like that, but it's not there by the end. So now I'm thinking about how I'm going to layer these, and I don't want too many distracting lines of all of the frames. And so I'm going to start by matting this black and white striped frame, and I chose this one because it was fairly bold, and the other two, like I chose one that's neutral, one that's colorful, and then one that's bold. So that's how I chose it. And then I'm lining them up so that they share the same bottom right-hand corner. And that's just to avoid too much distractions. I didn't, or too many distractions. I didn't want there to be a ton of vertical and horizontal lines here. So I'm trying to overlap when I can some of these lines. So you'll see that the top of the yellow frame overlaps with the top of the black and white striped frame and the top of the neutral frame that is kind of like the smallest frame that's on the photo. So I did that for a reason, so that there just wouldn't be too many. I didn't want any gaps between them, because then there would just be too many lines, and I don't want to take away. The idea of these layers is to enhance the layout and not to distract people away too much from the photo and the story that I want to tell. So I'm not liking this. As I go, I'm actually feeling quite discouraged with this layout at this point. I remember thinking that, and also I realized there that I had cut out the wrong bird. So I went back in and I was just feeling like this is an awkward layout, like I'm making a lot of mistakes and it's not going the way that I want it to. And I'm starting to, so what I remember feeling and thinking at this time is that it's bland. I remember thinking all those frames look really bland, and I'm feeling like the sky paper that I put inside of the black and white striped frame is throwing everything off. Like I'm not liking that at all, because the sky, it's just, I don't know, it's just not looking like it belongs there. It seems like there should be a different kind of a pattern. So while I'm thinking about what I'm going to do to fix this problem, or if there is, sometimes a problem just goes away the more you create. You just add some more embellishments and things aren't, something that stands out as not looking right isn't as dominant anymore once you put some more stuff on it, and it ends up looking okay. But I'm really feeling like this is not going the way that I want it to go at this point. So that's what I'm feeling and thinking at this point in my process. So I'm going to add a layer of paper in the background. I'm just going to cut off that branding strip. And at first, I thought I'd leave that chunk on, but then I decided to take it off. And I'm going to layer the two back papers like that. No, see, I'm saying I don't like that. There's something wrong here and I don't know what it is, but I'll figure something out in a second. I'll let you guys discover it with me. You're probably already seeing it. Yeah. So I'm thinking maybe that background is just not right. That one definitely isn't right, but I thought I'd give it a try. Sometimes you never know, something might look good. So that looks better. I like that. Way better than that. It's like, see how all that bokeh stuff is really distracting from the layout? That is better. Plainer is better. It's just drawing a lot more attention to the layers that I've created with those canvas frames and with the pattern paper. And so see, I'm just I took pictures of it so that I can look at it a little bit more removed. But I thought that the paper background was just too plain. So I kind of felt like I needed something in between the note paper background and the bokeh. So I'm like, yeah, don't like that. These two are my options. So I still haven't decided if I'm going to use the note paper or if I'm going to use this zigzag chevron paper. But I'll use one of the two of them, but definitely not the bokeh paper. And I'm thinking maybe as time goes on, I will like this layout better. So I'm going to take a look at some of these die cut pieces. Now, these die cut pieces, I think they came in the collection pack that I bought, or maybe I bought them separate. I'm not sure. They have a film over them, so maybe I bought them separate. They also came in chipboard version or format, and I don't have those. So I would have loved these shapes in chipboard, but I don't have them. So what I'm looking through right now, I just dumped them into that pink glass dish, is some die cut pieces from the Maggie Holmes collection and also from the DIY shop collection from Crepe Paper. Those two collections came out really similar time to one another, close in time to one another, and they look very similar to one another. So I dumped them all into one container when I originally got them, and I dip into both of them no matter which collection I'm using. I've used all of the DIY paper at this point, so And then I have this little tray of little doodads that they're sort of cast-offs and leftovers from different projects I've worked on. And if it's something that I kind of like and I don't want to get lost in my stash, I'll just put it up there. And those wood veneer tag reinforcers were one of the things. So I just punched a hole in that tag. You saw me cut out the tag from the cut apart die cut sheet. It's not a die cut sheet, the cut apart tag sheet. And now I am really wrestling with this. So when I punched that wood veneer, it got stuck on the barrel of the hole puncher, and I had to really kind of pry it out with my fingernails, but I got it out. And I'm outlining this tag with a really bold marker so that it will stand out. I don't want it to get lost amongst the layers of paper and canvas frames that will be around where I'm going to put it. So I outlined it, and then I just put the reinforcer back on. I just stuck it on. Oh my goodness. I just stuck it on with my two-way zig glue pen. So there, I'm thinking that the bird will go there, and that I need something else to go on that tag. It just seemed a little bit too blank. The pattern is really pretty, but I felt like it needed something. And then I didn't much care for the flowers in the center of that frame. I like the pink frame and I like how it fills up the tag, but I didn't really care for the flowers in the center of it. But I'm going to hold off on making a judgment to not use it, and I'll try just outlining it. I'm using a 0.7 pen here to do my outlining, and it's a little uneven, so I'm just going to go over it again and again and again and make it look kind of, I don't know, a little bit thicker. And now I'm using Stampin' Up! Dimensionals adhesive. I love the Stampin' Up! Dimensional adhesive because it's half the thickness of most other dimensional adhesive that I use anyways. And so you can use double if you want it to be the same size as your traditional, but I like having the option to have it be less popped off the page. So if I put the I Heart You, which I already decided it was going to be on this layout a few minutes ago, if I put it right there, it completely covers the heart, the flower design that I was not so happy with. And then I've also decided to leave this tag outside of the frame, again, because this die cut piece is more legible. Like, it's not just a picture of a flower that could be covered up, it's more of a phrase. So I want the I Heart You, I want to be able to see it. So I'm putting it on the outside of the frames. And I really like that. There is a piece of kind of trapped white space right below it. So what I'm showing you right here is that there's a bit of the background paper showing there that I don't want to be showing. So I'm just sticking another piece of that wood grain paper. It's like a wood plank paper that came in the kit. And I'm just sticking it there so that it covers up that little sliver of space that was showing the dark background paper. And now I just grabbed my twine bin, my twine drawer, and I grabbed this. This is from, I'm pretty sure it's Lawn Trimmings from Lawn Fawn. And it's a nice heavy, what I like about it is that it's very durable and heavy, and it's not very fragile looking is what I'm trying to say. I'm not sure the word I'm looking for. So what I'm going to do to get, because those two ends stick way up off the page, I'm just going to take a little bit of adhesive off of this dot roller, and I'll show you what it looks like in a second. And then I'm just rolling it off like that, and that just puts some adhesive on the back side of that string. And this is a Stamp Runner by Tombow, and I love it. It's really, I love dot adhesive for those sorts of purposes. So this looks dry. Looks can be deceiving though. It's not actually dry. I think it's dry as I put all of these adhesive on the back of it. It feels dry. And I'm just going to put all of these little foam adhesive. I'm using the thicker brand that I got from, I think it's Scrapbook Adhesive is the brand. And I'm going to cut one more little sliver of a foam adhesive, and so that will pop up off the, but look, see, there's a fingerprint on it now. She's lost her shine. Aw. I'm thinking about putting it on there, but no, I'm just going to put it with the blue sky background. And now, because I have a fingerprint on it, I'm just going to coat the whole thing in another layer of glossy accents that will hide the little fingerprint that I got in it. And see that little dimple? There we go. Just add a little bit more if it dimples up a little bit. And that, it looks cloudy, but it will dry clear. Break time, I had to go to, I'm going to let that dry. I had to go to a soccer game. So I went to that and came back home. And my daughter went out on a play date, and I came back down here and finished this up. So at this point, I've decided, yes, I'm going to go with the zigzag background, and I like it very much. Oh, my cat Lila is insisting on playing with me here. Oh, she's actually outside my door right now. You might hear her if the microphone picks up her crying. So I just had to trim off the manufacturer's label, and I am using my Caterpillar Crop, which is my new trimmer that I got. If you missed my Fab Find Friday video that I posted yesterday, check it out if you're interested in seeing my new trimmer up close and in detail. Now, this is a roller stamp from Pebbles. It's a roller letter stamp. So I just spelled out the word Jen, and I'm using slate gray ink from Stampin' Up. And that frame says produced by. So I put Jen not because she's Camilla's mom, but because she made the cake. And so I'm just thinking about how else I can layer some more die cuts around this cluster of layers. It's not really, you know what I mean, this bunch of layers. And so I like how that butterfly looks, and I didn't want it over on the other side. You saw me kind of temporarily trying it out on the other side. It's the same handwriting as what's on that pattern paper over on the left side. So by bringing it over here to the right side, I'm not having two things that are too similar right beside each other. And so I just stapled it with that circle underlapping it. Just for a little bit of interest, and then the circle just kind of disappears behind the other layers. And now I'm going to place this little arrowy type of piece of paper. And again, everything is sort of awkward on this layout. I'm just not doing anything well. I'm very amateur today. Doing everything at the wrong order, and I put it down and then I have to pull it back up and put adhesive on it. Anyhow, sometimes just nothing seems to go right. I mean, the layout turned out great. I really do enjoy it, but the process of this one was just a little bit awkward. I don't know what it was, but I did really enjoy it. I enjoyed the process too, even though I felt like I was all thumbs today. So I'm going to stick these little stick pins in here. I'm pretty sure they're by Maya Road. They're a couple of years old as well. I think every single thing on this layout is a couple of years old. So I'm just putting little tiny glue dots on the butterfly parts of these stick pins, and then the pins themselves disappear behind the hearts. And then I added one of those bows. I'm pretty sure that bow is from a Maggie Holmes collection too, but probably a newer one than this original collection. This original one was just called Maggie Holmes by Crepe Paper, and then since then she's had a few more collections. So I spent 20 minutes sewing on this layout. That's a long time to spend sewing. So what I decided to do was some sewing. I'm going to sew along the fine line that's in the center of each of those lighter blue chevrons, or I guess it's a zigzag pattern. And I decided to do that just to spruce up the background paper. The background was looking a little flat and boring. And I didn't want to do any kind of, oftentimes when a background is looking flat and boring, I'll do some misting or some stamping or some paint or something to add some interest and dimension to the background. But because it has this really bold pattern on it, I didn't want to mist any other patterns on it because it would just be too busy, and it's already quite busy. So I just want to be careful about the balance that I have with this background paper. So I wasn't entirely sure that I wanted to line every single one of them. I wasn't sure if it would be worth the effort. So I started with sewing just every second one. So that's what I'm doing here. You'll notice that I'm skipping. I don't know if you can tell. I'm going to change my camera angle in a second. But yeah, so I'm just kind of going along each line and then picking up my foot, turning the paper and going along again. And as I've mentioned before in other process videos, when I do this, I leave the needle in the page when I pick it up. So, and then stop and then pick it up and then turn and then sew some more and stop and pick it up and turn. And yeah, leaving the needle in the, oh, sorry about that. You'll see it a little bit better here. Leaving the needle in the paper makes it a lot easier to turn that corner in a nice sharp way. You get to see my messy table now when I shoot from this angle. I sometimes get cold down here, so I keep that blue sweater that's kind of balled up on my desk. I keep that down here. But then I end up getting hot once I start scrapbooking. So anyhow, here I am, and I accidentally sewed 2 in a row here. So that made my decision for me. I hadn't decided whether I was going to go back and fill in the odd numbered ones that I didn't sew across the first time around. But once I accidentally sewed 2 in a row, that made that decision for me. That's one way to deal with indecisiveness, is just make a mistake that forces you to do it a certain way. So this is actually the other end of the layout than the one that I was just sewing a minute ago. I just turned it around. It's on fast forward, so you might have missed that part. I'm starting with this part because it's a little trickier. The sewing goes off the page on the top. So it's a bunch of triangles instead of a zigzag that I'm sewing here. And I'm not going to show you the whole sewing process because you get the idea. And I'm going to go back to my table in a second and this will be all done. So here we are back at my table, and I'm just pulling down all of the threads so that they're hanging in the same direction, and then I'm trimming them off here, and I'll turn my layout and slide all the threads down again and trim them off again, and do that all the way around the whole layout, trimming off all of the threads. There we go. And now I'm going to collect up all of those stray threads and put them in the garbage. And now I'm going to flip over this layout on the back side and run some washi tape all around the outside periphery of the paper. And what that's going to do is just hold all of the threads in place where they run off the page, because I didn't do any back stitching and I don't want them to fray and unravel as I handle the layout, both for the rest of the scrapbooking that I have to do and also when I go to take its picture and handle it and put it in its sleeve in my album. So that looks good. I don't know. What do you think? Was that worth 20 minutes? Maybe. It does add something. It adds quite a bit of texture and interest, and the sparkle from the gold thread looks quite nice. I like it. I don't regret doing it. I'm not sure if I would do it if I had to do it over again, but it does add a little something to the paper. So now I want to use this gold doily just to pick up on the gold that's already in the layout in a couple of different places, the thread, and then there's gold accents on a few of the embellishments as well. Before I put that doily in place though, I'm going to use some mist to put some splatters on my page. I haven't yet glued down the whole bunch of papers and stuff. This is Heidi Swap Gold Color Mist, or Color Shine, I think it's called. So I put that on the top and bottom corners. These are just the two corners where the embellishment clusters are. And I'm fully drying this gold before I put the next color on, because when the splats overlap, I don't want the two colors to mix. I want it to be nice solid splats of gold with nice solid splats of black on top. And I'm letting the the black ink just kind of like rolled down the dripper, rolled down that little long thing inside of the mist. Instead of flicking it, when I flick it, I get small dots, but I wanted to get a couple of really big black dots on this one. So I just let it drip down slowly. You can control where it lands a lot better when you do it that way, but the drips are quite a bit bigger. So then I flicked the white. And again, I'm going to dry it all before I move on so that I don't make any mess. This is a cake box that I use to catch the stray splats. I am not in love with the way that the mist happened on this one. That's the thing with mist, is that you don't have a whole lot of control when you're splatting things on your layout, and sometimes it splats beautifully and sometimes it splats just where it splats and it's not all that nice. I think there's a little bit too much splatter on this one, but that's okay. It's not the end of the world. So I like this gold right over here on one side. I'm not going to balance it with gold on the other side. I think that the yellow from that butterfly and the gold on the arrow-shaped piece of paper on top of the butterfly, I think that provides enough balance for the gold from the doily. And so I'm just going to leave it like that. I decided to use this little sticker just to add a tiny bit of interest up here, just another layer. It looked fine without it. It's not like it was missing something and I put that on. It was more like I saw that and thought it would make another interesting addition for these layers. I'm going to put this Happy Day sticker right in here and just put a little piece of foam adhesive to support it because it extends up off the heart. And now I'm going to put a little tiny cluster. This was an afterthought. I thought I was almost done, although I haven't titled it yet. But I decided to put a little cluster up here. Not like that, though. It's too, I don't like the placement of the yellow piece, but that looks better. I like it like that. And I'm just hanging it off the edge of the layout up there. Oh, I'm finicking with it a little bit. Is that a verb, finicking? So I just felt like that cluster up there in the top left-hand corner needed a little something. So I found that die cut that said happy and I stapled it in place, and that actually the staple goes through all three of those layers and connects it all to the background paper. And I think I'm ready to glue down my layout. Oh, no, I'm not yet. I'm going to pick some letters. I forgot about the title. I almost forgot about the title. And I thought it's missing something. Oh yeah, a title. I'm going to call this one simply Happy Birthday, Camilla. I know it's not the most exciting. See, I love these stickers and there's only a few of them left. And I had them in yellow as well as in white. They're like a vinyl, really cool. The font is called Sprinkles, but I didn't have the right letters. They're really, I should just get rid of them. I don't have enough letters to spell very much at this point. It's just a tease that I have those letters there, but I can never use them. So I picked an assortment. I always do this. I pick several and then I narrow it down after my letter sticker basket is away. So these are the two kinds that I'm going to use. I'm going to spell out happy birthday with this golden, it's like a really dark golden color. They're foam letter stickers, and the foam underneath of the gold glitter is actually an orange instead of a yellow. And it's a very orangey gold, as you can see. I love it. And I also had some more yellowy gold letter stickers that were almost the same, but I really liked the darkness of that font right there. And then these ones are also foam glitter stickers. I love foam glitter stickers. I love foam stickers in general. So this one is called Doll. The blue one is called Doll. And then the golden one is called Journal. They're both thicker sets from American Crafts. And now that I have them all laid out on my wax paper, I'm just going to trim them down into individual words so that I can play a little bit with the placement. Yeah, there's definitely too much splatter on there for my liking, but that's okay. And I just placed the layout the best that I could, and I am going to go with Happy Birthday stacked up here and then Camilla down below. So I'm just lining these up so that they're resting right on the photo. It makes it nice and easy to put them in a nice even line. I want those staples to actually show because I like that I stapled those frames in place. And now I'm just going to place the word happy so that it kind of hangs off the top. Oh, 1P is a little bit too low there. There we go. And it doesn't have to be perfect. This is a fairly casual font, so it's okay if it's a little bumpy and not completely straight. I'm spelling this one backwards because I wanted the A to land right beside the happy sticker. And working backwards, and then I'll place the C so that it's just under the bird. I didn't want to cover up that pretty little bird. And he's pop dotted, so the C would have to really curve to go on top of the bird. And now just to bring a little bit of extra dimension and interest up to that top cluster, I just put an asterisk. That is something that I do often with my designs is I will use a thicker, especially if I'm using a glitter thicker, and I'll just take an asterisk or an ampersand or a little squiggly, one of the punctuation marks I'll take and put in the secondary cluster just to bring up a little bit of repetition from what's in the main cluster into that secondary cluster, just to make it all fit together and look like it belongs. Now these are little gems by Bo Bunny. I don't get much stuff from Bo Bunny, but I was at a crop and I needed a gem and I didn't have one. So I went to the store that was there and I bought these Bo Bunny things. And so I cut a little strip of the line of gems that are all kind of in a strip, and I ran it below the word happy day and then, or the phrase happy day. And then I just mixed the little gems in amongst the sprinkles of mist that I have in the top and bottom corners. And you'll get to see, I'm sorry that I didn't zoom in, but you'll get to see it when I do the close-up kind of showing of the layout. Just spreading them around a little bit. There's how they look. And here is just the close-up video portion that shows you how some of these elements look once they're all put together. I really like how that tag looks with those two die cuts on top of it. And then I just covered the heart with an enamel dot heart, just for the interest. You know what? I think I might take that off and replace it with glossy accents because it changes the color of it a little bit. When you see this layout in my month in review, that heart will be different. I'll take off the enamel dot and the enamel dot heart, and I'll replace it with like I said, some glossy accents. Just because I liked the color of the heart. It brought in the colors elsewhere in the layout and also in the bird. So yeah, that'll look better. But in the photos that you're about to see, it is still the enamel dot because I've already taken the photo. So you'll have to check that out in the month in review recap video. So here are the photographs. Thanks so much for watching. You'll see that bird dried to a nice, clear, glossy finish. And with the two coats, it really has quite a lot of dimension. I like how that looks. So as I mentioned, this layout was part of the 27-day challenge to use an old kit or collection, and I chose to use the Maggie Holmes collection. If you would like to play along with this challenge and participate and have a chance to win a prize, check out my video announcing the 27-day challenge. It's linked in the information section for this video, and I will tell you the details in that video on how to enter and what to do to be a part of this challenge. And you can also join my Facebook group for the challenge, which is right here on the screen. So take care and have a great scrappy week.